Good evening. Could you please stand to salute the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a meeting of the Hillsdale Borough Council on this 9th day of August 2016. Notice of the time and place of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News, Pascack Press, The Record, and Community Life. A copy was posted on the bulletin board outside of this meeting room and provided to any interested parties. Please notify the acting municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors on your left. Please silence all cell phones and pagers. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember DeRosa?
Here.
Councilmember Karsich?
Present.
Councilmember Lewis?
Here.
Councilmember Lundy? Here. Councilmember Rocco?
Here.
Council President Pizzella?
Present.
Okay. We have no appointments, no oaths of office, but we do have a proclamation. I'm going to ask Mr. David Franz, our library director, to come up to the front, and also our council member Lundy, who's the coordinator. Go over there by the microphone. Okay. And this is a proclamation, recognition award. Whereas the New Jersey State Library Association has presented the New Jersey State Library Innovation Award for the past 3 years that include a variety of projects, and whereas this year's 2016 Innovation Award winner was among the first libraries in New Jersey to offer a makerspace program that was actually expanding access to a small space they already had in existence, and whereas the 2016 Innovation Award winner was designated for living the spirit of creativity and collaboration and generous cooperative spirit and willingness to share models with the broader library community, and whereas the man behind the magic of this creativity has been called the MacGyver of the library community by his peers, and now has been named the 2016 Innovation Award winner. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Douglas Frank, Mayor of the Borough of Hillsdale, recognize and congratulate David Franz, Director of the Hillsdale Public Library, for being the recipient of the 2016 New Jersey State Library Innovation Award. Pick up the microphone, please.
Thank you very much. It's quite an honor to receive this proclamation and to be recognized for the work being done at the Hillsdale Library. The only way this award could have come to fruition is through the generous support of the Board of Trustees over the years and the financial support of the Friends of the Hillsdale Free Public Library that make the library makerspace activities possible. And, of course, the generous support of the Mayor and Council through your generosity in supporting the Hillsdale Library. Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Dave, could you come up here just for a minute? Sure. I'd like the public to know that the reason you look like someone from a throwback from the late 60s, early 70s is because you collect money at the library, and for every week where you collect $20, that's another week where you don't get a haircut.
That's correct.
Since January now. And I know there are 3 barbershops at least in Hillsdale, so that's not the issue. And I haven't been able to contribute in the last week or two, so here's $20. That's an extra week.
That puts me over $700 for the year.
Hold it up.
Hold it up.
It's probably a silver certificate. So, and please tell people what the money's going to be used for, because I think
The money that we are raising this year through the hair fund is being used to buy additional materials, books, movies, DVDs, compact discs for our library collection. Our library budget for collection development has not been as robust in years past, so that's where this $1,000 that I hope to raise will be applied. Right now we put out some books that we're calling Lucky Day books that cannot be held. They are very popular. If you walk in off the street, you might find a Lucky Day book marked on the desk. Those are being purchased with the haircut.
Great, that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And I hope I set an example for the rest of the council.
Fresh.
I tried. Okay, we did have a presentation scheduled, but it's been moved to September, which was a recommendation of actions to be taken on our borough code, and it's going to be done by the chairman of the planning board. The next is our first public comment section. This is time limited. It's to 5 minutes only. It's for new topics that have not been before the council, and one speaker per topic. So anyone who would like to address the council at this point in time, please raise your hand and come up to the podium. Mr. O'Brien. One topic, 5 minutes maximum. There's a second public session late in the meeting.
And that's open to more than one topic?
That's open to more than one speaker per topic and more than one topic.
Private individuals, unlike public officials, have not voluntarily exposed themselves to injury from slander and defamation of falsehoods. Private citizens are not relinquished any part of their interest in protecting their good name. So said the court in Getz. A Hillsdale...
I hate to interrupt. Please identify yourself with your address.
Kevin O'Brien, 61 Parkview Drive.
Okay, thank you.
A Hillsdale public official accused me publicly of repeated crimes in the 4th degree and violating federal law. Slander is a tort. It requires legal action within 90 days of the offense. My attorney suggested a sit-down take place with the mayor and the borough attorney, perhaps the borough council president, to seek a resolution before filing litigation. I'd like to resolve this peacefully, opposed to going the other way. The same individual wrongfully stated I had extended over 100 Oprah requests when he was the council president. The requests were more like 12, seeking access to closed session minutes that by law were required to be released years earlier. Many of my letters to the editor require documentation before they are released to print. My facts are solid and are supported by black letter law and reviewing Rutgers Law Library. Mayor, I would certainly welcome the opportunity of sitting with you and the borough attorney privately if you're interested in helping to resolve this.
Can I just confirm? Yeah, okay. I have no problem with that. I would suggest to have your attorney contact the borough attorney. We'll set a time, and I'd be happy to meet with you, your attorney, and our attorney.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else care to address the council? Different topic.
I have 3 topics, so I guess I'll be here a while. Marisa Safali, 6 Manson Place, Hillsdale, New Jersey. I was going through the master plan. Our master plan has a stormwater management plan. And in that, there was an open space committee generated to seek funding to purchase properties along the brooks and streams where flooding has caused the greatest property damage. Are we doing anything to purchase any of the properties that were listed in the master plan? I know that originally we were looking to buy the property on Hillsdale Avenue, but that fell through. There are other properties in town that are in a flood area that should be looked at to be purchased. Are we doing anything to try and secure some of these properties that are listed in our master plan for funding? I know the county has open space funding. We can apply for funding to help to purchase some of these properties to cut down on the flooding. Are we doing anything to go forward and follow our master plan and trying to secure any flood properties at all?
It's up to you. I was going to say, we have a resolution tonight, trying to see which one it is, that we're, it's in here.
That's
It's
the
171?
floodplain acquisition plan.
174, okay. Resolution authorizing and confirming application for technical assistant grants for floodplain protection planning activities, which I think is a preliminary step before we can do anything. And that's to work with the county, and I think that's a precursor to getting involved with the any kind of acquisition. Certainly there have been issues with people down in the Glendale Park section with flooding over the years, and the town has not been very successful, other than I think 2 properties have been bought out that I'm aware of, maybe more than that.
Okay, I just have a question about that, just for my own clarification. I know that the county has given money to actually purchase people's properties that flood on a continuous basis. I know Westwood's done that, if I'm correct. Is that the same as the open space to purchase properties that are not developed? Or are they two separate, funds?
Our borough administrator answer that, he's closer to it.
There's a grant application due this fall, I don't have the date in front of me, where the borough could so choose to apply for grant funding from Bergen County, which would cover up to 75% of the acquisition for a piece of property. But again, though, it does, unlike Blue Acres, it does not include demolishing a house or anything like that, strictly for acquisition purposes.
Okay, now is that different from open space funding, or is it the same thing?
It all comes from our open space tax that we pay through our county tax levy, and they allocate that based on the percentage of the formula.
So have we gotten a list, because, so I'm guessing the list that's in the master plan now of properties that the town should consider acquisition, buying, will change now because of the flooding homes in the Brookdale area?
It'll all be evaluated this year.
So we have a council that's going to look at all the flooding areas we have and decide what's priority now that the one on Hillsdale Avenue is no longer an option?
Can I clarify?
Please do.
Frank, go ahead. You've been wanting to speak.
Open space, so I'm open space.
Okay.
We do not have an open space tax in Hillsdale. It was voted down several years ago. So we don't have any specific funding at the municipal level to purchase these properties. When you mentioned the property on Hillsdale Avenue, that was the old Tandy and Allen property.
Correct.
That property was being purchased through OSI, which is a environmental group that was applying for the grants and helping us to acquire that property.
Okay.
They were getting the money, as well as the county was putting in some money. We were just going to take over the property. We were not using any funds, we don't have any, to purchase that type of property. Now there's Blue Acres as well as open space grants that we can apply for. But other than that, I don't want you to leave thinking that the town has a tax fund that we use. Other towns do, but we do not.
Well, we did have money that we put back into the budget at the beginning of the year that was sitting aside for open space, if I'm correct.
Not that I'm aware of.
No. I know of no such money.
It was like $40-something thousand that was in the budget and was absorbed because we didn't have the Tandy and Allen property. I'll go back and look.
Not aware
I
of
can
that.
come back and.
We've spent
Okay.
no money on the Tandy and
But I
Allen.
want
No,
you.
I understand that we haven't, but I do recall being at this meeting, and there was a fund that went back into the budget because it wasn't used for the purpose intended, and it had to do with open space.
Every year there are things that aren't expended that go back into the fund that are left over, but I don't recall anything that had anything to do with open space.
And now this committee, this organization that was helping to buy the Tandy and Allen property, are there any other properties in this town that you feel would fall under that criteria that we should look at trying to get again with the same situation, since you have these groups that were willing to help? Have we made any efforts to buy any?
Just let me answer it. I don't know of any other properties that this group would be interested in Hillsdale. I think that what Hillsdale has to do is what Mr. DeJoseph said. Take an open look at what properties are out there and if we can get grants for them. OSI is very specific. They go in and they preserve property. They don't necessarily pursue floodland property. They actually pursue any type of property. It doesn't have to be wetlands or flood property that is in floodplain.
So it's OS?
OSI, Open Space Institute.
I have to interrupt now. The 5 minutes are up.
Okay.
And the purpose of this initial public comment is for people that I've watched sit in the back of the meeting until 10:30 at night when the public comment section came up and they had one simple question to ask. Complex issues, we really have to wait until after.
Okay, this is new to me. I mean, I do spend a lot of my nights at the planning board
Yeah.
end of things. I haven't had
This
much.
is a new addition to our agenda this year. We
Okay.
changed the bylaws.
I'll sit in the back of the room and have more questions for you later.
We do have a section towards the end. Thank you. Anyone else care to address? 5 minutes, and it's got to be a new topic, not already discussed.
My name is Miriam Komisky. I live at 91 Hopper Avenue. I would like to introduce Robika Knoll, who's here to speak to you about a very important issue that we would really like you to consider, and I am strongly in support of it. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Frank and Mr. Medeo. I see a lot of familiar faces here, Mr. Stutio, and council members. I'm here. My part-time job, I work for the Borough of Old Japan. I live right over the border in Westwood. My last name is Knoll, N-O-L-L. First name Robike, R-O-B-I-K-E. I'm also a full-time travel agent, and in my spare time, I rescue animals. I've given you a copy of an ordinance that's been emailed all over New Jersey, actually. It's a model ordinance that's been drafted by the attorneys at the Humane Society of the United States. It has been adopted in 67 towns already since September. You may have heard about Senator Lesniak's S-63, which just sailed right through the Senate, and now it's getting ready to go before the House, and then Governor Christie, if it gets through, then hopefully Governor Christie will sign it. And basically what this says is that pet stores will no longer be purchasing dogs from the puppy mills. And if anybody doesn't know about puppy mills, it's a slang term for commercial breeding facilities where profit is the number one. If you haven't seen anything about it, you can go home and just Google puppy mill, and you will see that even the USDA recommendations and requirements are that the breeding animals who live in a cage their whole life, 6 inches over their head when they stand up, 6 inches on either side. They're bred twice a year. Those puppies are taken from them forcefully. They're sold to pet stores and sell right here in Bergen County for anywhere from $1,400 to $3,000 a piece. It's a huge, tremendous profit margin. And you no doubt saw what went on right down the road in Emerson. I've been credited with spearheading that, but honestly, it was a team effort. I had nothing to do with shutting down Paramus. He kind of did that on his own. And one of the things that have come out of it is that I've been in contact with the owner, Mr. Losacco of Just Pups. I haven't won him over yet, but he has a meeting with the owner of Pat's Pups down in South Jersey, who did convert his store from a high-profit puppy mill outlet. He now sells only rescue dogs, makes a smaller percentage on them, but he makes up for it by selling food and accessories and things like that. And you may ask me why this is something so passionate to me, and I will tell you that every year, the entire population of Los Angeles, which is 4 million people, is euthanized in pet numbers. And every year, we have 10,000 commercial breeders producing puppies for profit in substandard conditions. This ordinance has been passed, as I said, in 67 towns, 9 counties in New Jersey. I'd love to see Hillsdale join, Wickliffe Lake, Saddlebrook, Upper Saddle River. Upper Saddle River's in their second reading next week. They're signing it. Maywood, Hackensack, Little Ferry, Wickliffe Lake. Emerson is going to be tweaking theirs. They had to do it differently because Mr. Losacco was still in business in this town. So I'd really like you to consider looking at this ordinance. It's pretty bulletproof. As I said, it has been challenged a few times across the country and upheld. And that's pretty much it. The letter there is pretty self-explanatory in the ordinance as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions? Can I come back next month and see it on your agenda?
You're always welcome to come back.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to address the council? Seeing no one, close the session to the public. Next, we have approval of minutes, the May 3rd, 2016 council meeting minutes, the May 10th minutes, the June 8th, and the June 14th minutes. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Have a roll call?
Councilmember DeRosa?
I approve all except for May 3rd. I wasn't here.
Councilmember Karsich?
I have to abstain because I don't remember which of these meetings I missed, but I know I missed one of them.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
Yes, with the exception of June 8th, I was absent that meeting.
Council President Pizzella?
Abstain.
Do we have a motion? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Next is professional reports. I'd ask the Chief of Police.
Mayor and Council, Bob Francavilla, Police Chief, a short monthly report. Last month we had 93 dispatching shifts. All were covered except one. One had to be covered with an officer due to lack of personnel. We had 228 motor vehicle stops, 104 summonses issued, 13 criminal arrests, and August 2nd we had National Night Out, which I think most of you attended, which I think was a huge success. Believe it or not, we gave away over 700 hot dogs, and I forget how many, 20 pizza pies, and so on and so forth. But I think it was well attended. I just want to thank our sponsors, Hillsdale PVA 207, ServPro, Mascione Brothers Paving, Raymond Brothers Landscaping, Bergen County Garden Center, Hillsdale Fire Department, Hillsdale Ambulance Corps, A Better Car Care, Timber Tree Service, Demers Farms, Fernazer International, King's Supermarket, ShopRite Supermarket, Hoffman Floor and Home, Innovative Landscaping, Temco Heating and Air Conditioning, Domani, Sticky's Barbecue, LaFrance Painting, Paramus Medical and Sports, Race Pizzeria, Valley Tent Rental, Ken Barrett Kitchens, Twinboro Pest Control, and finally Care One at Valley. Without their donations, it wouldn't be possible without all of their help. So I thank them, and I especially thank Alex Kaplan, who organized the whole event. He was a huge success. Today, we have received our medicine drug drop box, which will be located out in front of police headquarters for used or unwanted drugs. It's part of the DEA program that we hold every year. Now we hold it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we also have a mobile drop box as well, which we'll bring to maybe the Hillsdale House or the senior luncheons quarterly. I'll get together whoever runs that, and then possibly set something up to do that as well, to make it a little bit more convenient for the residents. And that's my report.
Chief, I have a comment on National Night Out. I couldn't believe the amount of people that showed up from town. I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah,
and thank you for allowing the mayor and council to have a table there and
Absolutely.
greet some of the public.
What a great place to ask questions about your mayor and council. You know? You know,
It was very
there
good.
must have been over 700, 800 people there, so it was fantastic.
And
you know?
I have one question about the crosswalk by the library. I know it's been in the works to get an illuminated sign there.
Yes.
Is there any schedule on that yet?
We still haven't received the materials from the company yet, but we're waiting.
Okay.
That should be any day, any week, I hope. So hopefully that comes soon. It was ordered, I think, a month and a half ago, John? Yeah. Okay.
Might be good to have that before school starts.
Yeah, I'd like to,
you know,
too. Yeah.
because the
We're
kids-
hoping.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
that's great. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thanks.
Next up, Borough Engineer, Mr. Statiel.
Good evening, Council. How are you doing tonight? A couple things. You have my report. I believe you all have my report for tonight. First thing is the road program is being delayed because, as you know, there's a fight in Trenton on the Highway Trust Fund between the governor and the legislature. So all the DOT projects in the state have been shut down, which includes Hillsdale Avenue. The borough is free to move ahead with their own streets, to pave their own streets if they want. About half the projects is their own streets, your own roads. If you want to move ahead, I get the contractor, he'll come in and do half the roads. And just wait for the Hillsdale Avenue to be finished once the trust fund is renewed. So that's up to the council to decide. Somebody let me know which way they want to go with that. Because the paving contractors, the milling contractors are all looking for work right now because it's shut down, so they're scavenging for anything they can find.
So there's no cost disadvantage to us to go ahead with our own roads?
It's a unit price contract. We pay by the unit price.
That sounds like something that
Yeah, and I was
council-
just going to ask, how long will it be done by the time school starts if we make a decision to go ahead?
He originally had schedules for this September, right when school is about to start. It was like right on the cusp. But I don't know right now. His schedule is completely changed because he's not doing DOT projects. So he may be able to come into town sooner than later.
Yeah, only because I know whenever there's that, the busing and all that becomes a little
It becomes
disruptive.
problematic, yeah. So I can find out as soon as he can come in. Let you know. Let John know.
How does the council feel about that?
I think
I
we
would
should go
recommend
ahead
we should
with
go
it.
ahead. Yeah. You wanna-
Okay, fine, I'll let Dana know, then they let me know what the schedule is. The swim pool, the lap pool enclosure, I think Councilman Lundy wants to probably give an update on that?
You can,
You want me to? Okay. I've met 3 times with the commission as well as some council people and the mayor. And right now, the commission is considering how the project can be deployed. There's a couple choices they're thinking about. We have conceded that the schedule won't be till next spring. If there's going to be any groundbreaking, we'll have until springtime next year. There's just not enough time before the winter to get the project, designed, advertised, bid, constructed, et cetera, et cetera. And Mark and I have to put specifications together, so it really looks like the best time for it, if it's going to go forward, will be this, early springtime. So meanwhile, the commission is looking at some options in how the project can be deployed, and they're going to get back to us. We are scheduled to meet again in a few weeks and continue our dialogue with the commission.
So it's early springtime before Sunnybrook opens?
Yes, that would be to try to do that, yes. Get the foundations in before we open. This way, then, the following winter, they can put the dome right up then. The Woodcliff Lake Dam project, as you may know, they're going to be closing the dam on Thursday morning at 6 a.m. to seal the joints across the bridge, and the dam will be opened again on Monday, August 15th in the morning. So it's a couple days shutdown. That's highly weather dependent. It looks like, I just checked my phone, there's on-off showers for the next week, so I don't know when they'll be able to get in there to do the work. So they have to get good adhesion to the concrete, and they can't get that if the concrete is wet or damp. So we've got to kind of play that by ear.
Will you be able to inspect that on our behalf?
I can certainly stick my nose into it, yes, Mr. Mayor. As long as the police department will support me if I get in trouble, yes, I can go take a look at it.
Just to make sure that it's being done properly, because I believe they referenced that they would do it with your recommendation, based on your recommendation.
Something I can think they can do with it
So,
at this point,
yeah.
yeah.
Could you just, for anyone who isn't aware, just tell the audience what they're doing?
Yes, the Woodcliff Lake Dam, when it was reconstructed, they have expansion joints every 30 feet on the concrete decking that goes across the dam. United Water used a very wide joint, about a 3-inch gap, and it's a very deep joint. And when motor vehicles hit those joints, you get a wheel slapping noise. That's what generates the noise you hear from the tires. We recommended that the joints be filled flush with the rotary surface, so the tires don't actually strike any more surface. It just runs across the top of it. I mean, there may be a little bit of noise, but it won't be like it is now. You still have joints every 30 feet, unfortunately. And that's the solution they're going to do. They're putting a mastic, an expansive mastic can expand with the roadway, and that's what's going to those joints. The Wirmus Lane Culvert gabbing basket contract is ready to be advertised. We provided the administrator with the plans and specifications for that contract today. And pretty much that's the major issues going on right now. We are going to be putting in we're going to put in a notice of a grant application they put in for open space municipal program. For next year, we have to do like a, what was the word for it, introductory notice that we want to file an application in October. It's due October 13th. So we're doing that tomorrow for repairs to the band shell. Basically, we're doing repairs to the band shell. It's something we're going to do anyway, and we're going to try to get the county to participate 50% in the funding. There's only $113,000 this year in the municipal program to split up with 10 municipalities. So it's going to be a little bit of a dogfight. I mean, we're sending over to argue for us, but it's very tight, the basket of money this year for the open space program. And there is a grant program out. It's my last page. The DOT, we just got the announcements. It's due November 10th. These are transportation alternative programs or enhancement projects throughout the state. These are for non-traditional service transportation type programs. I've shown you below there a sample of some of the grants that were approved in 2012. A lot of these are streetscaping projects near train stations, or most of the time there's a train station involved in the work. Like Hawthorne got $600,000 to do streetscaping, but they have a train station in town as well. I gave you a sampling of some of the types of projects. Anything related to transportation qualifies. They're looking for more non-traditional things such as, pedestrian pathways, off-road bicycle trails, things like that as well. So that grant's open. It's very competitive. It's for the whole state of New Jersey. A lot of towns are going to be putting in grant applications. These are larger grants. Usually there's several $100,000 in funding. You don't just go in for $50,000. They're larger projects because they're federal grants. And there's a lot of work involved with federal grants, and the state doesn't want to do small grants. They want to just do the bigger grants because it's easier to manage those. So if council has any suggestions, if you think they want to initiate, let me know for us to put the application together.
And this couldn't be used in addition for the train station itself?
It could be, yes.
It could be, so...
I wouldn't go in for $50,000. It's not, it's got to be a hefty project.
Yeah.
Because you already got the money from the county, you can back, sort of leverage that for more money, you can do that.
Could it be used as a means of getting from one part of Hillsdale to the train station?
Absolutely.
Like as a walking trail through portions of Hillsdale and then sort of connect to the train station and then sort of enhance the other grant that we have?
Anything to do with transportation, yes.
That's interesting.
One year they fixed up a lighthouse in South Jersey. It's transportation related because it had to do with, shipping. So, yeah, anything like that. It's a November 15th deadline. I got to get a lot of paperwork in order for the application. It's not an easy application, so just the sooner we think of something, the better.
So we need to identify some
If you
potentials
want,
and
I can
define
just-
them and get them to you.
Yeah, let me know. Anything you can think of, let me know. It's got to be a meaty project, a good
Do
project.
you want to take the lead on that with regard, because it'll tie into both the walking path, which you're
Right.
involved with, as well as the train station?
Yep. I have a report on the walking trails.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And they're looking for projects that aren't permit extensive, because they want the money spent quickly.
Okay.
They want something that's going to be difficult to get permits, of course. The state wants to get the money out and feds out quickly. So I would think that this application will not be announced till next year. It's November deadline. It won't be till next year sometime whether they make the announcements. And you can always go onto the website, the New Jersey DOT website, and look for under grant recipients. You got to kind of search around, and you can see all the projects that they did in 2012 all across the state. A lot of money goes to the counties. There's some counties in here that got some lion's shares of the money as well. You can even do a motorbike trail someplace in the woods if you want. That qualifies also, believe it or not, even for stock cars, transportation related.
I see Boonton got one for a railroad car restoration.
It's transportation related, yes.
Okay, even though the railroad car is probably...
Doesn't move.
Doesn't move.
Probably so.
I'm thinking of our station that doesn't move.
It doesn't say the lighthouse didn't move either. It was on place, so yeah.
So, Chris, it's New Jersey Transportation Alternate Program. We'd find the different
If you
programs they
look
do
under
there.
the regular website, look
Right.
around, this is something about community programs.
Community programs?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And you can find grant recipients, look for grant recipients, yeah. You have to look under the Transportation Alternatives Program. It was 2012 when they gave it out. You got to search around a little bit. If you're interested in seeing, most of them are streetscaping projects, the lights, the brick pavers, et cetera, et cetera. It can be safety improvements too. That certainly qualifies as well.
Okay.
If you ever been down by the Teaneck Armory, we got that grant for Teaneck. That was an enhancement project. We put an island down in the middle of sort of do traffic calming, and we put lights down there, make it look pretty. It's right by the Armory, just below the Armory in Teaneck. We did that project. So those are some ideas. And that's all I have this evening.
I have a question.
Yes,
On the ADA bathroom at the train station. I think last, if it's in here, it's out with the architect. Could you give us an idea on the time frame for that?
He can advance that whenever you want. It's just a matter of, if we're going to put it where we talked about, at the same location, he can advance that, yes. He's ready to go. Everything's measured up. He just has to put together the plan.
Yeah, because we had talked about a basic idea how to structure it. Yeah, I guess it's just traveling a bit, and when you go into New York, there's no public restrooms. If you're in the middle of Hillsdale, if we have a concert or something, there's no public restrooms. And the fact that we have a restroom, we'd have to have a policy, and we've talked about how do we keep it secure and clean and whatever, but that could give us at least a semblance of convenience for our residents.
Yeah, the architect was thinking if it was possible to have the bathroom off the waiting room versus off the outside door. Because this way you go in the waiting room, and when that gets locked up at night, the whole place is locked up at night.
Yeah.
Versus having to go around the building through the outside door, which can be cold in the wintertime. It's just, he says, maybe you want to consider putting it near the waiting room if possible. That center room there.
Yeah.
So you could maybe put it in there and just have a door going back into the waiting area. that would be handicap accessible and it would, be more secure. He was just throwing that as a possible alternate suggestion.
Well, we can revisit that, because when we went there and we looked at it and kind of looked at even having a camera in there, but facing in an appropriate direction just for
Right.
security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
we did just throw that out.
let's revisit it, and let's, I think we should move forward on it. The money's
Okay.
just sitting there, it's fully funded.
Yes, it is.
There's no match to it.
65,000. There's no match.
Yeah. So it's,
And
okay.
the open space money that you already have also for the trail too, because there's so little money available to our sub-region, open space wants to see money spent before they give you more money. So we kind of do something with that, move that along someplace or somehow. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that'll be for what, 24,000, and that's,
Yes, you had the 24,000, right, yeah.
right.
No,
that hasn't been-
not that, no, that, you have 20,000. 20,000, $3.
Oh, okay.
$3.
That's for the extension of the walking trail between,
No, that's for the, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no,
He's talking about fitness
that was for the fitness, but.
oh, the fitness, I'm sorry.
But
That's a different-
we discussed about getting it repurposed for the lightning detectors instead, because there's an immediate need for that.
And I think you need to get that down to the county.
Yes, I think
John did that. Yeah, right.
the borough administrator was doing that.
Because before we went for more money, they want to see that you're doing something else with the money you already got banked.
Right.
So,
When you said walking path, I thought you were talking about the reservoir walking
Oh, not
path
that,
that's
no.
joint with Woodcliff Lake and Park Ridge. And that grant's in, but that's, we're
Haven't
not
heard-
going to hear for that for a while.
nah, it'll be a while.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's statewide competitive, so I mean, I'm sure they're vetting applications from all over the state. And that's it for now.
Chris, you have the application in for that one, right?
For,
For the walking path?
yes, yeah, we filed that on time. It was timely, yep, it was fine on time, yes. It was, 2
Could
months
that
ago.
other one tie into that?
What's that?
The transit-related one? Could it tie into that?
You could, as long as it's transportation related, walking and biking is transportation
Okay.
related, yeah.
That's good.
It's a possibility.
Good possibility.
And, yeah, we at one time, we looked at doing Broadway from downtown up, all the way up, streetscaping all the way up Broadway to carry it. We have downtown up there as well. So we looked at that as a possible program. We applied for that a few years ago, so,
Well, streetscaping includes such things as when, I don't know what year it was, when they redid downtown with all the lighting, and so that we could actually take that all the way up North Broadway if we
yeah,
wanted.
that can
couldn't
be
we?
tied into the train station for, yeah, exactly that, yeah.
That's an interesting
We
concept.
approved multifamily housing up the road, up to Broadway. This would just encourage, use of the bus stops and the train stations downtown as well.
And you said they only want to make large awards, so we just have to make it a large project.
We would always make it double what we need.
I bet we could do that.
For $1 million and hope to get $500,000. Exactly, it'll teach you well. That's how it works.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything else for? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to committee reports, and we'll start with Councilman DeRosa.
Okay, the ambulance corps does not meet in July, but they are having their first annual carnival in the West Lot. That's the August 23rd through the 27th. It should be a lot of fun. I encourage everybody to come out. They do need volunteers to help man the booths, and there is a sign up on their, a link to sign up on their website, so I'd encourage you to check that out. On the Regional Board of Education, that's Pascack Valley, Pascack Hills Board of Education, the old tennis courts have been removed. I don't know if you've been down there. And just last week, it seemed as though they had a decent amount of work ahead of them, but it seems as though they're ready to pave pretty quick soon. So it looks like they'll be done in time for school. Again, that's to access, for better access and egress, and also pick up about 30 extra parking spaces. Former mayor and Regional Board of Education member Al Murphy has resigned from the Board of Education. I'd like to thank Mr. Murphy for his service, not only as mayor, but also on the board. As a liaison to the Board of Education, I can tell you that Mr. Murphy, despite his reputation for watching every penny and being a retired resident with no kids in the school system, is still very open-minded about spending for school. I found him to be surprisingly progressive in the discussions and his voting. The board consists of 9 elected members, and they're seeking a new member from Hillsdale. There's some criteria. You must be 18, a citizen, a resident for more than 1 year, a couple other things. That is all on the Borough website as well as the Board of Education's website. You can argue that members of the Board of Education actually, you can't really argue, they do have more control over your tax dollars than actually this governing body does. So I would encourage someone who is interested to step up because it affects our children's education as well as everybody's taxes. And on recreation, due to vacation conflicts, there were no meetings in July or August. September was actually in question, but they're going to reschedule so they can get a meeting in September. And I'd like to mention that there were 3 town baseball teams, summer travel teams, that the 10U took the championship in the Nevis Travel League, and 9/10U intermediate and 11/12U intermediate took runners up. That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Gorsuch.
Could I just correct that before somebody screams?
Okay.
10U and 11/12U intermediate were both champions. Runners-up were 9 and 10U. Just so the champions don't get upset that they weren't recognized as champions.
Thanks.
Good correction. Scott?
First up, I'll talk about DPW. We had a committee meeting recently with Dan to just try to get a little more information to the council about just day-to-day activities, so all the council members are aware of what's going on. Because there's a lot of moving pieces with the DPW, and we got a really great report in our agendas today that's kind of spelling out some of the things that have been going on over the summer. Like, I know our crews have been out fixing potholes at least 2 or 3 times a week. I've been seeing the complaints and the emails that people have potholes in front of their homes. They're looking for repairs, and I know Dan's been really, really responsive to those requests. You know, if we can make it happen within a timely manner. And then they repaired 6 of the catch basins, and they're working on getting a few more done this year, so when we have snow and leaf stuff, we don't get water back up. And I know our town mechanic has been diligently working to get all our equipment ready for the snow and leaf seasons. They've fixed 2 of our existing old garbage trucks, so they'll be up and running for when we need to do leaf season. They're looking to start the leaf season a little earlier this year, around the 25th of October, and we're going to try to give more updates on the website and possibly social media about where the crews are when we're taking the leaves out. If there's anything that we had a breakdown or something, so you know why, if we've said this section of town we're doing leaves, why we're not there. They've also been working to repair all the decorative lights around town, the train station, the firehouse, Hillsdale Avenue and Broadway. The lights on the train station are all completed and fully functioning, and the rest of the lights should be completed by the end of the month. We're also looking to upgrade the traffic lights to LEDs. We're just waiting for some parts to come in, and they're slowly starting to replace all the street signs around town to make them more highly visible, and that they're all the same size and color when they complete the project. They've also started doing some painting of the stop bars in front of the stop signs and the yellow lines of the curbs, especially around the schools. We were able to do this because we got some free paint from the county. And the fire department, we went to their last meeting. They came to us with some ideas of some things for next year's budget that we're considering. One of the topics that we talked about was training, that they want to get some more training dollars so they could do more training in the upcoming year. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Chris Lewis.
Thank you. The Board of Health doesn't meet in the summertime, so I know they did their cancer screening at Stony Brook. It was well attended as usual, and we thank the doctors who have been doing it for a couple of years from Westwood Dermatology. I wanted to update, we had a meeting on Monday regarding our zoning and property maintenance official. Our previous official has resigned, moving on to a full-time job. So the committee met. We also, with the borough administrator, we discussed what the position was needed for in Hillsdale, interviewed, and I think there's something in our agenda about that. So we'll be moving forward and filling that position. That's it.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilwoman Lundy.
Okay. The library did not meet in July or August, but the summer reading program is wrapping up, and there's one more Makerspace Camp? Is there one more? There's one more Makerspace Camp?
Tomorrow.
Okay, and tomorrow's the last one. and they will resume meeting in September. As far as the Shared Services Committee, we will be meeting. In your packet is a letter that the mayor received from Westwood's Mayor Berkner, who would like to investigate various shared services between Hillsdale and Westwood. And I've been in touch with the Westwood Shared Services Committee Chair, and we'll be reaching out to both our committees to talk about the feasibility of any potential opportunities. Stony Brook, Chris covered a lot of what Stony Brook has been discussing. There is a Stony Brook Commission meeting Thursday evening. Stony Brook will also be holding a ladies' night next Tuesday. It's a fundraiser for Parkinson's, Paint for Parkinson's. So if anybody's interested in painting a beautiful beach scene, come on down to the pool and you can paint and socialize. It's a nice night. They're also having a pre-K book drive. One of our Girl Scouts in town is seeking donations to support the Silver Award Project to help the Clifton Head Start program. And there's a box at the front gate for donations of any pre-K books. And lastly, Patty asked me to please emphasize that if the Stony Brook parking lot is full, please don't park on the grass or in any fire zone. The parking lot at Meadowbrook is available for parking. That's it.
That's it. Thank you. Council President Pizzella.
So we have this grant that we received regarding the train station, and we've been working on a lease agreement, a renewed lease agreement with NJ Transit. We recently received that lease agreement back, and I have some concerns regarding the language. So, Mark, if you would assist me, if it's okay with the mayor, in setting up either an in-person or a conference call. I think an in-person would be better, where we can finally hash out the terms of the lease, and that way we can move on with the train station grant. We've also received an extension of our grant from Historic Preservation of Bergen County, which is part of Open Space. Also, the walking trail. Many of you have heard about a walking trail that is going to extend from Montvale through to Hillsdale. And the four towns are working together. I reached out to Councilmember Harrington, and she is setting up a meeting for the four towns to come back together again and sort of talk about where we are and follow-up steps. She said she'll get back to me within a week. A while back I had mentioned the Access to All Committee, which is an initiative that's been started by Bergen County and the Bergen County Executive. Hillsdale is one of the towns that actually accepted to start a committee in our town to look for different possibilities for access to disabled people. And we need to have two residents, and we need to have a member of the following organizations: the fire department, police department, rec, and OEM. So I'm glad to say that I spoke with Ruta Fiorino. Many people know Ms. Fiorino. She was the woman who was in a very bad car accident at Trader Joe's in Westwood, and she is very interested in helping us on that committee. If I can get the liaisons to the other organizations to please speak with your organization, and by the next meeting in September, or the first meeting in September, if you can please let me know who they've delegated to be on this committee, I'd really appreciate that. And then we could start having meetings and figure out how they can work with how the county wants these committees to work.
Can I ask a question? Does that include fire, police?
Fire, police, OEM, and rec.
How about ambulance? No?
I'm sorry, and ambulance. I'm sorry. And then one other resident. So anyone that's out there that is interested, please contact me. The Board of Ed, many might know this, but just in case you don't, the old superintendent, Mr. Bretnall, has resigned, and a new superintendent for the local Board of Ed has been appointed, Mr. Pfeiffer. The mayor had mentioned the planning board meeting tomorrow, and also the chair is going to come at the next meeting to give us recommendations on ordinance changes. Similarly, the Environmental Commission has included various suggestive recommendations for ordinance changes regarding tree maintenance. It's in your packet. Take a look and let me know if you have any comments. the EC wants to be clear that it's just suggestive. Also, the Environmental Commission requests regarding Beechwood Park. Is there any way that they can get a recycling garbage can at the entrance of Beechwood Park? They have two groups that are currently monthly cleaning the park, as well as they recently did the Hillsdale Cemetery, which was really a wreck. And they're asking that we provide at the entrance of Beechwood Park for a recycling garbage can.
When you say the Hillsdale Cemetery, you mean down at Glendale Park?
The old, right, the sort of historic.
It's on Hazelwood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Weissman and a group actually went there and weeded and cleaned it up. It's actually a very interesting place. Some of the original settlers of Hillsdale are buried there. And then also the Economic Redevelopment Committee. I've been in correspondence with Beneke Economics, and their report regarding the potential for redevelopment in the industrial zone is almost complete. And also the mayor will discuss in more detail, but as many of you know, Waste Management's permit is up for renewal. And I would ask that you please look online at the Hillsdale website and sign a petition to assist us in basically stopping them from getting their permit renewed. It's very important that we do that because Waste Management sits directly in the center of a very important area for Hillsdale, which is a frontier area where we can actually grow and have some redevelopment. And I believe that's it.
Thank you.
I'm the correction person. You said the planning board meeting was tomorrow night. It's Thursday.
Thursday, I'm sorry. Thursday.
I'm glad somebody's paying attention.
Sorry.
Councilman Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to seniors, I'm involved in some discussions with some residents with respect to creating an advisory committee on senior issues. A charter has been drafted, but we're still working out some of the details. When it's finalized, I will submit it to the council for comments, and then we can move forward from there. There was an article in the Bergen Record a couple of days ago that you might have seen. It highlighted discussions taking place in 5 towns, Westwood being one of them, to make it more palatable for seniors to stay in their homes as they age. And it's along those lines that would eventually like to move Hillsdale in that direction. There are grants to be had, so we clearly will have some discussions about that. But that's for the advisory committee, if it is created, to pursue. There is, I want to thank, I guess, the borough administrator for the grant application that was submitted to New Jersey Transit for the senior van, which will ultimately, if it's granted, we'll share that with Woodcliff Lake. With respect to the Finance Committee, we had a meeting on July 19th. We covered a variety of things. I won't go through all of them, but the two most important things were we got a better insight into the Stony Brook Pool facility, and an interim financial report discussed the lap pool dome project. And then the second item is we decided to proceed with the floodplain acquisition plan, the development grant to get this thing going from Rutgers and from the Land Conservancy Group. Next meeting is going to be August 18th for the Finance Committee. With respect to the police and the Office of Emergency Management, phenomenal National Night Out. Kudos to the police department. It was an opportunity for all the residents, especially our children, to learn, have fun, and to get acquainted with the local law enforcement officers here in the town in a way that we as parents want them to get acquainted with them. It drew more residents than last year. I'm sure I didn't take a count, but it was certainly well attended, and everyone had a great time. The flood detectors, we're moving ahead with the installation of flood detectors to be installed by Gotham Analytics. I think there's something in the agenda tonight. The emergency generator at the United Methodist Church, we're waiting for a startup and training date for the generator, but that's imminent. And I've been told that the cameras on the Woodcliff Lake Causeway, 3 new cameras are going to be installed by Suez along Church Road. at no cost to the borough. 2 will monitor the roadway and the skate park, and the third will be at a water level gauge, so they'll be watching that. And the signal is going to go into the police department as well as the Office of Emergency Management office. And the OEM staff were contacted by FEMA this month about reimbursement from the winter storm, and they'll be providing us with additional information. And then finally, I guess it's a police matter because Bob Francavilla and I have been on the mediation sessions for Demarest Farm, and I've got to tread carefully here because it is a mediation session, and I want to be absolutely clear in terms of what I say. Our borough attorney and representatives of the Hillsdale Police Department and myself, we've been attending these mediation sessions that were agreed to by the farm and a local resident group. All parties attending the mediation sessions have committed to keep the content and the details of those discussions confidential as required by the state-appointed mediator. The last mediation session was held a few days ago, I think it was last week, and it possibly might be the last mediation session depending upon the intent of the 2 parties. If the 2 parties can finalize an agreement, I believe it's their intent to release it in some way to the public. If the mediation session does not cause the 2 parties to come to an agreement, then the dispute will resume its previous track, and resident complaints that have been filed will go before the county, state, agricultural regulators over the next several months for a decision. And that's all really I'm at liberty to say with respect to that process. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Well, you get to keep going because the first item of the discussion is yours as well.
Okay, yeah, I have to apologize on the Eagle Scout project with Xavier Catalone. I meant to bring tonight the picture of the revised sign, which words won't do it justice, but it's a green. It'll be the sign outside of the Borough Hall. We've got approval, and I signed the approval for the council. Borough administrator, I believe, approved it, and his troop has approved it.
This is the Eagle Scout document to get the project approved.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's going to be beautiful because it's going to be a green background with the emblem of Hillsdale. It's that same emblem that you see there against the wall. But on either side of that emblem will be 1898, which is the year that Hillsdale actually was incorporated as a township. In 1923, it was incorporated as a borough, and that's why people sometimes get confused. There are 2 dates. And there'll be the website information at the bottom of the sign. There'll be a self-watering planter in front of the sign. And I've cautioned the scout, please don't think of plants that are higher and then grow high and then have to cover the sign. So,
No bamboo?
No bamboo, Councilman DeRosa, no.
I think we have an ordinance against bamboo.
So that's all I have
Any
to say.
timetable on that?
The scout is, Xavier's trying to finish this off by the end of October.
Okay. So before the winter, hopefully. Great. Okay, thank you. Nothing more. Second item is Stony Brook Pool Dome enclosure. Did we cover that enough? Or
covered it enough for now.
we're okay? Okay, good. Number 3 is sports agreements. Councilman DeRosa.
Tonight we'll be voting on adoption of a resolution to accept the sports agreements between the Rec Commission and 5 main sports associations in town: Hillsdale Football Association, Hillsdale Soccer, Hillsdale Baseball Softball Association, Hoops Basketball, and Pascack Lacrosse. The agreement is actually fairly common in most municipalities for organized youth sports that are not run directly by the town. It spells out things that the sports associations will do for the youth in the town, and it also spells out what the town will do for the associations and our youth. Some of the highlights are that all volunteers must meet the borough's ordinance for fingerprinting, Rutgers safety certification, concussion training, lightning training, and coaches' code of conduct. The associations also will provide bylaws and prove that they're nonprofit to the borough and designate a representative to the rec meetings. The borough will provide portable bathrooms were not provided. We will not charge for field lighting, and we will continue to maintain the fields, and the associations will have priority over scheduling on those fields. So I want to thank members of the 5 sports associations: Devin Flanagan, Rob Laudadio, Abby Lundy, Rob Harris, Scott Perlman, Andy Pearson, Jim Rawley, Mike Laughlin, Bob Bazowski, and Laura Culligan. They all act in respectful and professional manner in balancing the needs of their associations with those of the borough. I want to also thank members of the Rec Commission, especially Director Patty Hughes and President John Coring, and thank the Mayor and Council for being open-minded on the requests that the associations made. This agreement has survived 3 different council liaisons, 2 mayors, 2 borough attorneys, 2 rec commissions, and it's been somewhat of a marathon with some of us running various legs of the marathon. Council President Gisela started it. Council
5 years ago.
Member Chris Lewis ran a leg of it, and I did as well. So I'm pleased to say that it's finished, and it's the first step in getting the Rec Commission and the associations to work closer together as one group towards common goals like facility improvement. As pleased as I am that I have it, I cannot vote on it because I am also a member of the Baseball Association, so I will be abstaining. But I'm happy to say that that's done. So we'll be voting on that a little bit later. That's it.
Will we have a drum roll before we take the vote on that?
This is the closest I've come to childbirth, I think.
I think I've said several times you can make a human being in 9 months, but thank you. I'm still in shock, and I'm very pleased. Thank you very much. Next is removal and replacement of elm tree in Veterans Park. Mr. Borough Administrator.
Just want to let the mayor and council know it's the tree directly across the street from Ronnie's. It was repaired and cabled roughly 10 years ago. We've gotten a lot of additional life out of the tree, but DPW superintendent, myself, and our arborist took a look at it. There's a large hollow hole in the middle as well as a fungus around the bottom. So it's recommended to remove the tree, work in conjunction with our DPW and PSE&G, and then relocate a new elm tree or a tree of the liking of the Mayor and Council and Environmental Commission, just making sure everyone's well aware of the loss we're going to have in Veterans Park.
That's how old is that tree? 100 years old?
At least I would say, probably.
It's a massive tree. Has this gone through the Environmental Commission?
Environmental Commission was made aware of it roughly a month ago.
No problems? Okay. What's the time frame?
We'd have to work with our contractor. I'd assume within a month or 2.
Okay.
It'll be removed, but in the fall, I'd recommend picking a new location and a new tree.
Yeah. Well, I think that where it's located, if it's deemed to be not safe, it's got to come down. As painful as that is to take a big, beautiful tree like that down. Okay. Thank you. Last item I asked to put on, that's we had talked about at the June 8th meeting a do not knock ordinance, and we kind of agreed to go forward with it. So I'm just put it on here to let everyone know we will have that for introduction. I did send it around, a copy of one from one of the local towns with their process, as well as the sticker that people could have. And if you had any comments, I asked you please pass it on to the borough clerk, and we'll be drawing something up and introducing it in September. Okay. Anything else on discussion? Anyone wants to add? We have no new business correspondence. First up is a letter dated July 29, 2016 from Mayor Berkner in the Borough of Westwood regarding shared service opportunities. Councilwoman Lundy already spoke about that, and she's been in contact with Westwood, and we'll continue the discussion. So can I have a motion to receive and file, please?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're up to the second public comment section. So I'd like to open the meeting to the public on any topic, and please come up, identify yourself, and there you go.
Kevin O'Brien, 61 Parkview Drive. A couple topics. I'll be real quick and be within the 5-minute time frame. First, I wanted to compliment Denise, our new borough clerk. She's done an outstanding job. You folks may not realize it, but from the public side, when we ask for things now, we don't have to go through a long, drawn-out process, not getting things when we request them. We're met with a friendly, polite approach. It's engaging, and it's really nice to see. I've gotten the same feedback from people in Borough Hall as well as from the DPW. So the changes that have been implemented have been reflected within the community, within your employees. I don't know whether you hear that, but I do as a resident, and I just wanted to share that with you. But thank you for all your help. And she
We
didn't
know
ask-
we're lucky to have her.
And she didn't ask me to do that, by the way. Second, overnight parking has been raised by a couple of residents to me. Some of these are older folks that don't come. I see them in ShopRite. Anthony, you know who I'm talking about from church. They've talked about Parkview and Manson, on Conklin, on Baylor. They're just wondering why the overnight parking regulations are not implemented. Not so much for enforcement, but just get people to move. Don't give them tickets, but just warnings. Your call. The other one that I found was really disturbing. I got an email from John Path. Mark, you know John Path pretty well. It related to a fireman, the police and fireman retirement session of January 11th, where a past previous Hillsdale police officer was denied retirement, and it was alleged that he had cultivated an intimate relationship with a 17-year-old girl while acting as the school resource officer, which I find really disturbing. This goes back to 2006. This is not reflective of the police officers that I know in New Jersey or in the officers that we have on our town. The officers in our town are great, but when I read this, I didn't know whether you folks were aware of it or not, or how much of it is true, but it all came up as a result of internal affairs complaints that were reviewed by the state retirement fund, and they denied him based on these allegations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Marisa Safali, 6 Manson Place, Hillsdale. I noticed that we received a letter from the mayor about waste management and petition signing, which is awesome. I live very close to waste management. I've been around when the smell was horrible, when it was Salcar, and anything we could do to get that eliminated would be wonderful. I don't, right now with public service, I noticed that, I want to just ask you guys because you know better. Apparently they bought the property all the way at the end of Knickerbocker. Does anybody know that, or if that's true, or that's just a rumor?
It's not finalized yet.
It's not finalized yet. Okay. And I also noticed that the fence company moved. Is that because of public service in any way?
I don't believe so. I think
Okay.
the fitness center, the Aon's moving into that building or expanding. I believe
Okay.
that, I don't.
All right, I just
Not-
figured because
not
they're on
close.
the other side of it. With the Salcar situation, as it is now, and just a comment, our town, we're already hosting a transfer station, and this transfer station is going to be made larger. Whoever our representative is who speaks to the county about waste management, remind them that we're already hosting a utility, a big utility, a transfer station. How many things do you want us to host in a small area? It's just my thought on it. I also read in both the Record and our town paper that the governor is looking for a fairness formula for the education. I was shocked to see how much taxes we can save if this fairness formula goes through. We're looking at over $2,700 a year in taxes reimbursed to us. There is on this application, on this article, there is a website, the newjersey.gov tax relief, and it also has a petition, and I thought maybe you might want to also include that in our town notification. In addition to the waste management petition, this is something that our town should really be aware of. The seniors, $2,700 a year in tax, that's a lot of money. And it's fair. It's a fair formula, and it's about time that maybe we, as a community, step up and say, hey, enough. And so I thought you might want to make this like, I don't know how many seniors have access to computers, to sign petitions on websites. we're having a big thing tomorrow at Veterans Park. If someone is there telling people to get on to sign these petitions to represent. I also, if there's any meetings for waste management, I'd be more than happy to go in there and give them my 2 cents.
There will be we anticipate a public meeting. At some point in time before they make their final decision, and we will make sure everybody knows about that.
I'm there. I can give a good fight. One other thing, Mr. Statiel. There is an application before the planning board, and I know we can't talk about this, but one of the things that was suggested was that the Patterson Street S-turn be straightened. And this would be done with money from the person that's looking to build something that we can't talk about, and public service. And I started thinking about, why are we asking public service to give us money to straighten out a road so that it can help build something? In looking at where public service is building, they don't need a straight road for their trucks to come in and out of. We're hosting them. I would think the money that we're asking them to donate or to put towards straightening out a road that really doesn't need to be straightened could be better used to fix the band shell in Beechwood. I mean, we have the PNC, all these big arenas are named by companies. With all that we're doing for public service, if we want to ask them to put money towards doing something for the town, and Mr. Statiel said to me he works for the town, he has to suggest that what works best for the town. To me, straightening out a road that isn't giving us a problem versus maybe taking money or asking for donations for us opening our town to them to use the money for band shells and things that we're trying to come up with money to fix this band shell. It could be the PSE&G band shell. We could ask them for some donations instead of asking them to straighten a road that really isn't necessary. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
And I thank you for giving me the time to listen. And hopefully you'll take some of my suggestions to heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else care? Someone new first.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Ward. I live at 47 East Liberty Avenue. I'm just here to give you an update on the summer concert series. Concerts, 6 in all so far, have been going very well. The weather's been good. We're crossing our fingers for good weather tomorrow. Looks a little iffy, but we're hoping. And the attendance at some of the events has really gone way up. The park, some of you have been there and you've seen, we've literally had hundreds of people there. So that's been a lot of fun. Tomorrow night is one of our premiere nights. It's Family Fun Night. At 6 o'clock we have Lisa Lala, a children's entertainer, and the kids literally squeal with delight when she performs. Along with that we have Patty Hughes and the summer staff coming down with face painters, hair braiders, temporary tattoo artists. We'll have Colors, the balloon clown, coming down, and a sand art project sponsored by the Loving Touch Nursery School. 6:30 to 7:30, a free yoga class. Every week we have Jaluka Yoga Studio that puts on a free class for anyone, regardless of your level of experience. You can be a newbie or experienced. All are welcome. And there's been a change in the main band for tomorrow night. I call your attention that we will be hosting the Larry Stevens Band. This came up unexpectedly, and we were able to get him to sign on for us for tomorrow night. The 2 more concerts after tomorrow. We have a tribute to Carole King on August 17th, and the Alan Quinn Band, perennial performer, for the finale on August 24th. So we hope that you'll get out the word. You still have less than 24 hours to do so, but we really hope to pack the park. And thank you.
Great. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.
Thanks for all your work to get it done.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan again?
Kevin O'Brien, 61 Parkview Drive. I just wanted to share with you, the residents, if you haven't noticed, if you haven't gone down Lake Street or haven't gone down Patterson Street, the residents have voiced their First Amendment right by putting out big signage with respect to the apartment complex. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's a well thought out effort, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. The second aspect to it is the planning board meeting. We'll be hearing that application tomorrow night for those home viewers who might be able to.
Thursday night.
Thursday.
I'm sorry.
I listened to you, Frank. I was listening to Frank.
Thursday.
For those of you who are home, for the council members, please feel free to come and join in. It should be a packed house, and we look forward to it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Roby Knoll, 473 Kindercmack Road, Westwood. Well, when I come to visit towns and do this volunteer work with the Puppy Mill Advocacy Group, I don't like to be rude and come in and drop what I have to say and run out. So I like to stay, especially when I live in the next town over. We're considering shared services, things like that. I like to get informed, and because I work for municipality as well, I like to do the polite thing and stay. So while I was sitting there, I just emailed Alan Braslow, who's the attorney that's the head of the Puppy Mill Advocacy Group. And I said, I did my usual thing and told them what I'm all about, why I'm here, and I got a lot of blank stares. And they said, the same day we received wonderful notes from Wyckoff, New Milford Mayor, and Woodcliff Lake, was telling us that they are going to indeed adopt the ordinance as it's written and as we sent them, inviting us to come. And all three of those towns I went to speak with them and be there when they adopted the ordinance. New Milford and Woodcliff Lake are still in second reading. They said the same day they got those three emails, I got an email from somebody in Hillsdale saying, thanks, but no thanks. And I'm just curious, if you had all actually seen it, because we're very careful to email it to the town clerk and the mayor and council and ask that the entire council be CC'd on it. It's a hot topic in New Jersey and nationwide right now, and I'm just curious if this has been discussed, if whoever said no, we're not interested, just did that upon themselves. I'm not getting any kind of...
I think, I could be wrong, but I think that correspondence came in earlier this year. It was received by the council.
It came 3 times, yeah.
And it was filed. Everyone got an opportunity to look at it, and so anything that comes into the mayor and council, everyone gets to see.
Okay, because this was sent, I have the 3 dates, and it's silly to reiterate that, but it was sent in the initial, information, the ordinance, and then it was sent again, and then, of course, in the middle of all of what was happening down the road in Emerson, again, another stronger letter said, don't let your town be one that's going to be embarrassed, because that's what's going to happen, is stores like this will just show up in towns where the ordinance is not in place. We can't sit back and wait for S63 to go through, because that might take a year, and I'm just... as I said, when I appeared before New Milford, I got smiles and thumbs up, and people seemed really pro the animals and being anti the abuse of what goes on in this industry. And I kind of feel like I haven't gotten not one expression from up there, and I'm just wondering if there's anybody that has any questions, has any, curiosity about what this is all about.
I think we all know what it's about. I mean, it's been in the papers enough. We have no pet shops in town, and anything that would have to be, anyone wanted to bring one in would have to go through our Board of Health. And the Board of Health has regulations and does inspections and recommendations.
And so does Emerson, and look what happened there.
I'll just give you my personal opinion.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here for.
I think the topic's hot enough, and I think the whole puppy mill issue is one that's gotten enough attention, and it probably needs to be a state issue where states should ban it. And I think doing piecemeal by towns just creates redundant laws, and it costs us money to pass ordinances. But it's totally up to our council.
Well, first of all, this ordinance is a boilerplate. All you have to do is, Mr. Medeo, I'm very impressed with his legal expertise. I've seen him in action many times. He could take one look at this ordinance and say, legally, yeah, it looks good. It's been passed by this town, this town, this town. and somebody could make a motion and say, let's just adopt it the way it is, and it would go through. I understand what you're saying about redundancy, so just, indulge me a little bit. Annie Sabrizzi in New Milford is also a travel client of mine, and I'm very careful to not go to towns where I've got relationships with people like that. And so I had one of my associates go there and speak to them, and she told them back in March, we already have an ordinance on our books that says no puppies, no pet stores. There's no live selling of any kind of animals in New Milford. It's in their ordinance. She said, I don't need to do this. This is redundant. When things really started getting hot, when the van was found in Paramus, all the violations in Emerson, when Valhalla, New York shut them down, when this all started going on in all these stores, she reached back out to Alan Braslow and said, send me the ordinance again. We want to look at it. And what actually happened was she said in the council meeting, we already have an ordinance that says no live selling of any kind of animals in New Milford. However, nobody, people could come in and fill out a variance and say, this is the reason we want to open a pet store. And she said, we're putting this ordinance in as a safety net to back up the other. And yes, I understand what you're saying about state level, but you understand that that has to go through all the different channels. And this is the voice of each individual town saying, we will not stand for this kind of abuse. We are not going to put a business in our town that is based in that kind of abuse, because 99% of dogs that are in puppy stores come from puppy mills or commercial breeders. No good breeder. If you say Councilwoman is obsessed with golden retrievers and that's all you want, you find a golden retriever rescue or a golden retriever breeder and meet the mom and dad and see that these dogs were raised humanely and that they're not in a little tiny box, that these dogs are mentally insane being in a little box their whole lives and just being bred over and over and over again twice a year. And then they're usually dropped off at the local shelter, or worse yet, the Amish shoot them or drown them. They're done. They're done. They've given their babies and they're not interested in them anymore. They're commodity. It's a business.
One quick question.
Uh-huh.
We could move, or any municipality could move to ban the sale of puppy mill puppies in their town. Why isn't somebody going after the puppy mills?
That's a great question. And the USDA recently just tightened up some of their requirements. And what their idea was going from 4 inches to 6 inches. Now, that would be putting you in your bathroom for the rest of your life. And pardon me, but if you were a female, come in and breed you twice a year, too. But leave you in your bathroom the whole life, because that's how much space you have. That's USDA. And fighting the government, I mean, you guys are local municipal government. You know that there's channels everything has to go through. There's strong lobbyists. This is a huge industry. Puppy mills, but commercial puppy farms were originally started by the government when, it was unheard of back in the day. You went, your local little pet store had, Mrs. Smith's dog had puppies, and she'd put them in the window and sell them. There was no such thing as a commercial breeding facility, and the government kind of started this. It was a cottage industry that took off for guys coming back from the war. If you can raise corn, you could throw a couple of chickens in there and also have some puppies, and wow. Then they found that puppy sell for $2,000. And then you see people like Mr. Lasacco throwing 65 puppies in a van, taking 3 days to take his time to drive up here, and then parking it back of his store, and because they don't care. It's just an ear of corn to them. If 2 of them are dead when they open that truck, it's the cost of doing business.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the rationale to go municipality by municipality as opposed to, since this is a statewide issue, to go to Trenton?
It's in Trenton. Senator Lesniak, Raymond Lesniak, has gotten it through Senate. It's called Bill S-63, and it is exactly that, statewide. And each individual municipality putting it in place first, because it could take forever. It could take till next year. Governor Christie might run off with his,
What could take till next year?
Getting S-63 through. It went through the Senate. It still
But
has
it
to
strikes
go.
me that it's far less efficient to go municipality by municipality. Look at the effort and the manpower that you have to expend
We're
to get
volunteers,
this.
yeah. We're volunteers, and we feel that strongly about it.
But the
because
argument is a compelling one, as you say, and why not have it applied at the state level?
Absolutely, and if I could wave a magic wand and have it passed at a state level tomorrow, that's what I would be doing. But because it takes so long, and as I said, they say it will not go before the Assembly until possibly September or October. And then it'll sit on Governor Christie's desk for a while, and he gets
So
busy
he's
with
gone
his
in
thing.
18 months, so
Yeah.
that's about the
Yeah,
you know it
that's
has
what
an
I'm
end.
saying. And you know what? It's not going to be anything big for you guys other than joining the ranks of all these other great towns that are saying, yeah, we're not going to stand for this, and we want to be with Wyckoff and all these other towns, and we agree that this is it. And as I said, it's a boilerplate. And Mr. Medeo, he's an animal lover. He'll go easy on you with his bill when he reviews it and says, yeah, go ahead, I'm
Ms.
all
Snow,
for it.
Last week I had to put my dog to sleep. And my dog was a Italian Greyhound rescue dog, and
Thank you.
came from a puppy mill. Always neurotic and never would leave her cage. I think that everybody I applaud you for what you're working on. You have a passion about it, and I think it's great that you're up here and you're going town to town. I think that everybody up here has really heard you, and if we didn't look at it the first time, I'm sure that everybody up here is going to take a look at it again.
I really
I know that I
appreciate that.
will, and I really, truly appreciate what you're doing. I really do.
I appreciate it too, because nothing's worse than putting my evenings into this and my days into the rescue and everything else, and then getting just blank stares of disinterest. So I really appreciate you looking at it again. I do appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks.
Anyone else to address the council? Seeing no one, close the public portion of the meeting. We're up to an ordinance introduction, ordinance 1612. Ordinance of the Borough of Hillsdale, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 292 of the Borough Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic. Be it resolved that ordinance number 1612 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the Mayor and Council in the Municipal Building, 380 Hillsdale Ave, Hillsdale, New Jersey, on September 6, 2016, and at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. And the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Ridgewood News once, at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction and of the time and place, when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Carstage?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes.
Resolutions, consent agenda, R 160, 170 through R 160, 191. I will read them. 170 is a resolution to authorize the Hillsdale Police Department to acquire and accept delivery of a demilitarized equipment utilizing the 1033 program, specifically a 2008 Hallmark trailer. 171 is a resolution authorizing the tax collector of the Borough of Hillsdale to extend the grace period for payment of third quarter taxes of the 2016 tax bills, and there was an explanation. This was put in with the tax bills, explaining how we actually saved money doing that. 172 is a resolution authorizing a refund of a tax payment on Block 1412, Lot 5, known as 160 Clinton Ave. 173 is a resolution authorizing reduction in assessment due to county board judgments for various blocks and lots. 174 is the resolution we talked about earlier, authorizing and confirming an application for technical assistance grants for floodplain protection planning activities. 175 is a confirming resolution awarding the electrician job order contracting installation of the emergency standby generator for an OEM shelter at the Hillsdale United Methodist Church. 176 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Borough of Hillsdale with the Hillsdale United Methodist Church for an emergency standby generator, which has been installed, and that was gotten through a grant. 177, authorizing the extension of contract for supplemental snow plowing. 178, resolution authorizing the acting borough clerk to advertise for supplemental snow removal services of sidewalks for the 2016-17 season. 179, resolution authorizing the mayor and council to approve the settlement of adjustment of assessment of Block 1409, Lot 6, known as 118 to 1024 Broadway. 180 is the payment of bills, the bill list. 181, resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a letter of intent for the 2016 Bergen County Trust Fund municipal park improvements. That's for Beechwood Park. 182, resolution approving the amended bus stop on municipal and county roads in the Borough of Hillsdale. This is a huge grocery list reconfirming all the bus stops throughout the town that came through New Jersey Transit. 183, resolution awarding contract to Gotham Analytics for the early flood warning system, which Councilman Rocco spoke about before. 184, resolution for renewal of membership in the Bergen County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. 185, authorizing the borough clerk to advertise bids regarding supplemental garbage truck rental for the 2016 leaf removal program. 186, resolution authorizing contracts with certain approved cooperative pricing system vendors pursuant to New Jersey's SA 40A 11-11 for automotive parts and accessories. 187, resolution endorsing the submission of a joint grant application with the Borough of Woodcliff Lake to New Jersey Transit 5310 for operating project costs. This is for a new senior van. 188, appointment of Anthony Merlino to the position of part-time zoning official and property maintenance officer. 189, resolution authorizing contracts with certain approved cooperative pricing system vendors pursuant to New Jersey State 40-11-11 for installation of a lightning detection system. We talked about contract. Okay. 190, authorizing the acting borough clerk to re-advertise for bids to provide a non-exclusive lease to permit parking in the borough-owned west lot on Sundays during the month of September and October 2016. And the last is 191, the resolution approving the sports agreements between the Recreation Commission and the sports associations, which I'm told we will pull and do that off consent. Are there any other ones that anyone would like to pull for off consent? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember DeRosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Carstage?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
Yes.
Now, separate vote on R16191, the resolution approving the sports agreements between the Rec Commission and the Sports Association.
Drum roll, drum roll.
Drum roll and a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember DeRosa?
Abstain?
Councilmember Carstage?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Lundy,
Abstain.
Councilmember Rocco?
Stop that.
Yes.
Council President Pizzella?
What to do? Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Council commentaries, where would we like to start? I want to start down by you, Scott.
Just for the record, I think everyone here up here knows this, I'm a huge dog lover and animal lover, and I did read that ordinance. I'm not a big fan of cookie cutter things, so there was things I read in it that I was not certain of. And to be honest, I'm not ready to make a full comment on it, but that was kind of my pause, that I noticed that other towns were doing a cookie cutter thing, and I had some concerns with people that wanted to breed on their own in town. Would they be able to do that or not do that? So those were kind of my concerns on that. There's something I just wanted to bring to folks' attention. I don't know if they saw it in the news. The Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association recently requested that the White House light the White House in blue in the wake of the Dallas shooting of the police officers. And in the past, the White House has lit the White House for breast cancer awareness, the Supreme Court legalizing same-sex marriage, to name a few. And this request to light the White House in blue was denied. Here's some perspective. And these were stats that I had taken from the New York Times this year. So far, there were 66 officers that were killed, which includes federal, state, local officers across the country. 32 to 35 of them were shooting-related deaths. The average age of the fallen was 39 years old. These are fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, grandparents in the prime of their lives. It saddened me the White House decided to deny this simple request to light the White House in blue in honor of our fallen officers, and this got me thinking. why not encourage our fellow residents here across the Pascagoula Valley in the state to place just a simple blue light in their house to honor the fallen? Wouldn't it be great for officers to visually see the appreciation of their service and commitment to our communities as they patrol our streets to keep us safe? This would also be a very simple way to honor our fallen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Chris?
I'm going to be a little lighter. Just wanted to say thank you to the police officers for the National Night Out, and especially Alex Kaplan, his second annual, and it was well received. And it was just great seeing all the police officers within our community and seeing how everybody's response to them was. I'd also like to thank everybody who's been working on things this summer, like Elizabeth with the concert series, or DPW out there doing their cleanup, prepping us. And just that's it. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you.
Also want to thank the chief in the department for the National Night Out. He just told me, I'm sorry I missed it, but apparently the sprinklers came on halfway through the meeting, the movie. So it's kind of, I'm sure it was refreshing. And on the lightning detection system, I just want to thank, correct me if I'm right, is it the Board of Health who deferred? Okay. I'd like to thank the Board of Health for deferring the money that they had allocated towards the adult equipment for the lightning detection system. You may or may not know, the system is highly unreliable. You'll see the red flashing lights on during a bright sunny day when there's no rain in sight. So appreciate them doing that for a important safety item for the borough. And just an anecdotal story. I work in Cranberry, New Jersey. A couple of weeks ago we had a fire alarm go off. So everybody exited. They went to their designated spots. And it was, at first I thought it was a drill, and it wasn't. We waited about 10 minutes for the first fire apparatus to show up. It was a rescue truck from Cranberry. Now, Cranberry is an area of several retirement villages and a lot of warehouses. And maybe 5 minutes later, another tower ladder came from a neighboring town. And then an engine finally came about 20 minutes later. And it just struck me that, it's a rather large town, and that response was rather delayed and limited, and how lucky we are to live in a borough where if the whistle goes off, we've got enough people in and around town who can respond much faster than that. So I appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you. Abby?
Okay. First of all, I'd also like to thank the Hillsdale Police Department for the National Night Out. It was a really fantastic event, and it just shows, not only do you keep us safe, but all of the other things that you do for our community to make it such a great town to live in. And I'd also like to congratulate Dave and his staff on being recognized both by the state and by our council. They very well deserve. That's it.
Thank you. John?
I just want to say I'm very happy that the council's moved ahead with the application to apply for assistance from the county and the Land Conservancy and Rutgers to develop a long-term floodplain acquisition plan. I want to thank the borough administrator and the mayor for their efforts here. I tried to persuade the council last year to do it, but to no avail. It's the least we can do for the residents that live in these flood-prone areas. If we do get the grant, it doesn't commit Hillsdale to any further action, but gives us some valuable information should we want to proceed with land acquisitions and other actions. And in fact, without this, you can't proceed any further beyond the point. So getting the grant really does preserve our options for the town without committing us to do anything. I want to thank the Eagle Scouts, Ken Mars and Matthias Stremler of Troop 108, and their parents for allowing me to be part of their Eagle Court of Honor this past weekend at the United Methodist Church. They're two fine young men who will be making a difference in our society. They're going off to college. I presented them with your proclamation, Mr. Mayor, read it out to them, and gave them the full council's congratulatory message. Ken's project involved the renovation of the Hillsdale House Library, and Matthias helped with the construction of a new chapel in the Christ Lutheran Church in Woodcliff Lake. So they both are graduates of PBHS, and they're off to college, and I wish them well. I wanted to thank Jim Domville. He responded well to a request from one of the St. John's parishioners for possible use of a sign. They're having a rummage and a yard sale. I think it's August 19th, 20th. And they asked me about, gee, isn't there a sign somewhere? We've seen a big sign that's lit up. And I said, yeah, I think it's the fire department. I told Jim and Lickety Split, the chief got on it, and the two of them got together. And I just wanted to thank Jim, if he's listening now, for being so cooperative here. There's a drought watch in effect. Oradell reservoirs are 10% below where they were last year. And I see neighbors, I see residents in town watering their lawns in the middle of the day when it's 90 degrees out. They shouldn't be doing that. Even in the good times, you shouldn't be watering a lawn in the heat of the day, because in effect you're burning the lawn, you're boiling the leaves, and it's to no avail. You're using multiple times the amount of water to do the same job as you would if you watered that lawn before 7 a.m. in the morning or after 7 p.m. at night. So please, to my fellow residents, stop watering your lawn in the heat of the day. And finally, encourage all my fellow residents to go out to the ambulance carnival, which is coming up it's the week of August 23rd. I don't know when it ends, but it's in the West Lot. Please come out. This is a great cause, and please support them. Thank you.
Frank?
I'd like to thank all of the volunteers in Hillsdale as well as our employees. And some of you may know this, some of you may not, but at the end of last year and most of this year, I was having some medical issues, and it impacted my speech and that sort of thing. And it culminated with me having to take sort of a professional exam, which really stressed me out. And I want to thank the mayor for having patience and understanding and covering for me as much as he did. I think that for all the times that we disagree,
There's a lot of them.
and there's a lot of them, I think that you're doing a fantastic job. I really do. And I'm not trying to BS or blow smoke or anything. You came on board when there was no BA, when there was no CMFO, when there was a lot of turnover. And I just think you're doing a great job. You're very professional. You're handling everything. You're covering. And I appreciate the understanding. I also want to thank my fellow council members who also had the patience and understanding with me while I went through a very difficult period of time. And please sign the petition and say no to the renewal of the permit. Thanks again for everybody for your patience.
Thank you. Denise, do you have anything?
Just real quick. I don't want to be the poster child for Parkinson's, but it's near and dear to my heart. We're having a fundraiser this coming Tuesday at Stony Brook Swim Club. Pino's Palette from Ridgewood is coming to the pool, and they're going to do a mobile painting session where you can paint a beach scene. It's $45. We're going to have snacks. We're going to have a free giveaway. Pampered Chef will be there. Park Lane Jewelry will be there, and it's you can bring your own beverage and liquor. No. And it's going to be a fun night, and it's all money goes towards the Parkinson's Unity Walk, which is held every year that my family goes to. So to sign up, go to the website, Pino's Palette in Ridgewood, and sign up. It'll be a good time.
Thank you. Mr. Borough Attorney?
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Mr. Borough Administrator?
Nothing, Mayor.
I got a couple of quick things. Not to be redundant, but I think National Night Out was just another reinforcement of how effective community policing is, and that how our police department is absolutely part of the community. When I see everything from the Junior Police Academy to the DARE programs to the SRO, can't say enough about the good that they do in this town, and it's a big part of why we're always number 3 or number 2 is one of the safest towns. And Chief, thank you very much for your leadership and the new things you do there. I also want to congratulate Dave Franz at the library. I was fortunate enough to be on the library board for the last 3 years, and I've always been active in using the library, but when you see the things that go on there and pushing the envelope with the Makerspace program, recently I get the emails, and they were shooting paper rockets up with air compressor, and they had little GoPro cameras on them. And I was fascinated watching it going straight up, the one camera, then one was facing down as they shot it up at it in the parking lot. And I was trying to think the other night as I woke up in the middle of the night, what was the old, was it Mr. Wizard or Mr. Science? Those of us who were from back in the 60s and all watched on TV, getting kids interested in science. And you know, I think the Makerspace program really does that as well. And I commend Dave, and I'm jealous that I gave him $20 and he's got a lot of hair on his head and I don't. So but I hope it gets down to his shoulders. I really do.
Imagine how I must feel.
Pardon me?
So imagine how I must feel. And you too, Anthony.
Hey, look.
The comments of redevelopment that Councilman Pizzella is leading the efforts on, you know, it's a big task. We're continuing on it. Another part of that we've talked about in the last week is we have an ordinance review committee that he heads up, and the purpose of that is to look at our ordinances and make sure that they make sense. And it's the same kind of thing that the planning board's going to come before us next month and tell us things having to do with the building code, things that we need to adjust based on experience. There's one in particular that on the regular ordinance where you can start construction in our town at 7 a.m. any morning, but you can't cut your lawn until 8. I think these are the kind of things that the council, the ordinance committee, has to start looking at to just put some common sense into them. So I look forward to that project. It's not a little project. It's pretty big because the code is humongous. But I guess you eat the elephant one bite at a time, pick certain portions of it and look at it. So we're going to look at that. Waste management, which we've talked about. We have to be realistic. We're fighting Goliath. We're fighting a company that has a national golf tournament across the country, and we've met with them, and they're interested in keeping their permit alive, even though we don't anticipate that they'd open up the transfer station perceptually in the next 18 months, but that doesn't mean they can't. Once they get that permit, if they can choose to do whatever they want. And this is an opportunity for us, no matter what the percentage probability of winning, we have to go ahead and we have to fight it. And we've chosen a very good law firm that is an expert in this area to help us to travel the path, and we'll do whatever we need to. This is our opportunity to get them to leave town. And if we don't do it now, it's going to be many years in the future before we get another opportunity. So we continue to push. Please sign the petition. I've been talking to the mayor of Washington Township. They also want them gone because guess where the big tractor trailers go when they leave here? They go up to Pascack Road, they go down Pascack Road, then they go up over Linwood. They have the same problem with the big smelly tractor trailers going through their town. Mayor Sopkowitz has put the petition, I believe, on their website already, and put it on their electronic sign out in front, asking people to sign it. So the more people that we have involved, and certainly feel free to get involved with or get our state elected officials involved, whether it be, I know Senator Cardinale has been very helpful. In fact, he's still involved in the process and why it hasn't been approved already. So it's very a good deal to have as many people as possible involved. And as Council President said, waste management sits on 5 acres in the middle of our industrial zone, which really is a major impediment to any redevelopment we're going to do. So we're going to have to really work on it. Other item that I started on, which again is going to be slow, is the plane traffic overhead. I've been talking to Woodcliff Lake about it. It seems that the commercial flights coming into Teterboro seem to be more frequent than they had been in the past. I've contacted and spoken with the regional FAA director in New York City. He's going to send me a packet of information about the flight path. There's also, it's kind of complex because you have the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey that operates the airport, and then the FAA that handles some of the flight arrangements. There's also a community group that's been involved with the airport for a long time, but they're all people to the south of the airport, which is primarily their takeoff pattern. So it's going to be a long-term project, but we're going to keep pushing it. There is the test to move the flight pattern to the west of here and come down over Route 17, but doesn't seem like they've got their act together, and it doesn't seem that that's really even being implemented. So, but I'll keep working on that. Was grateful for the help I got from Mr. Statiel to get Suez to help us repair the causeway, and they're being very cooperative right now. In fact, I've been working with Captain Sean Smith about renaming the causeway after a World War II flying ace from Hillsdale by the name of Frank Hill, and I got an approval from Suez just this last week that they're going to help pay for a plaque, and we'll do a dedication sometime later this year to rename the causeway. It'll still be Church Road, but it'll just be a causeway name to honor this World War II ace that came from Hillsdale. Met last week with representative of Park Ridge. Woodcliff Lake couldn't make it, and the mayor of Washington Township, and we're looking to give them whatever support they need to fix the interchange between Pascack Road and Washington Ave. The county is involved in this, but the more muscle we can put as a group of towns, because that intersection affects Westwood, Rivervale, Park Ridge, Woodcliff Lake, Hillsdale. It's a major bottleneck, and we're working together to see if we can help the township. It's a township issue, but we're working to see how we can support them and help them get that moving. Only a couple more things. I want to thank the Board of Health for being willing to work with us to help us get the lightning detectors and using that grant. Board of Health's interested in the safety and health of our residents, and I think lightning detectors falls right under their umbrella. And I really appreciate their willingness to put off the grant till next year, which we think we can still get, because I think when we first found out that there were problems with the lightning detectors, my comment to the borough administrator was, I don't care if we have to do an emergency appropriation, whatever it takes, we've got to do this, and we have to do it now. And so I don't know what the exact time frame will be, but hopefully it's going to be soon. So thank you. And also, finally, just thank Councilwoman Luz and Councilman Pizzella and Councilman Karcich, who are on the Building and Zoning Committee, who met and interviewed and helped get us moving forward on our zoning official. That's an important position, and if it backs up, it creates more problems than we want to know about. And one last thing, just so you know, your tax dollars, our budget's about $13 million a year. Probably half of that is through purchasing. We need to make sure in today's environment that we buy everything properly and as cheaply as possible without sacrificing quality. And I just want you to know that we do that. We spend a lot of time on purchasing. Any of the department heads can tell you that. And we're going to continue that. We just want to make sure that every dollar that we take in tax dollars, which are painful to get, and it's tough when you have to keep increasing the taxes every year. We want to make sure that we spend it right. So it's being done well. I think you should feel confident that money is not being spilled. It's being properly spent. So, and with that, I would like to ask for a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.